man, here we are. Rumble's giving me a little bit of an issue tonight, so hopefully Rumble's working. I don't know what it's doing, but it is what it is. I'm trying to get it up and going for all of us here, and I don't know if you guys are watching on Rumble. Let me know how that's going for you. But yeah, I don't know what's up with that. Anyway, welcome guys. As you saw already, probably through Gun Owners of America and everywhere else, Representative Andrew Clyde has sent a letter to the Honorable Pamela Bondi, and it's pretty much, dare I say, suggesting that the DOJ stop reinforcing or defending the National Firearms Act. Before I get into the meat and potatoes of this letter that is signed by both senators and quite a few representatives, I want to go ahead and break it down for you guys really quick what all is happening in the political world as far as it goes with our Second Amendment. First and foremost, though, we witnessed some more tragic events take place this past weekend, unfortunately. All right. And we saw what happened in Australia. Father and son extremists and terrorists ultimately attack a Hanukkah celebration and kill 15 people and injured dozens others in a country that enacted some of the strictest gun control that the world has ever seen in 1996. And I just recorded the Second Amendment Report podcast today talking about this. You can go back, play all those back. It's also a live radio show, or I shouldn't say live, but it is a radio show that plays out of Houston and Louisiana now, which is pretty cool. So that's pretty fun. If you haven't checked out the Second Amendment Report, make sure you are spelling it completely out, where you can hear me and my co-host Mike talk a little bit about what all is happening around the Second Amendment, hence the name, the Second Amendment Report. We also saw an attack here in our, actually, relatively close to home, at least in the New England area, in Rhode Island at Brown University. And it's unfortunate, but that's where we're at. And we don't know if the suspect is also associated with the killing of a professor at MIT. And then it seems that that suspect has now made his way to New Hampshire, where I live. So fun times up here in New England, as you can imagine, as we are all, concerned about, wow, how many surveillance cameras were on this university? They couldn't really narrow down who the suspect was, and then he made it as far as all the way out here, evading the authorities and whatnot. So yeah, that's interesting. Now let's go ahead and talk a little bit about Australia, because both of these places, being Australia as a nation, as its own whole country, its own continent, its own island, and then Rhode Island, Brown University specifically, both being kind of gun-free zones. Brown University has a strict no-gun policy. Australia, after 1996, when they enacted their sweeping gun control, banned all semi-automatic rifles and firearms, essentially. If you have a pistol, it's pretty much maintained or locked up at like a gun club where you can only use it for competition. And you're very limited to what you have there. And the entire nation of Australia, the Crown, does not use self-defense as an acceptable reason for firearm ownership, okay? They don't have a Second Amendment. They're not really free, if you ask me. I mean, think about COVID and their little camps and all that type of stuff. So, yeah. I say all that to the effect of gun control. I want to be very respectful for people that might be opposing our pro-gun mindset, our pro-gun attitude and stuff like that, right? Because at the end of the day, I think a lot of people are coming from a good place. I think ultimately that they want to save lives. They want to prevent tragedies. But their I guess you could say, means to an end is far differing from our means to an end. We both, at the end of the day, want the same thing. Most of us, I believe, want to preserve life and freedom. The only problem is, is that you're looking at, by going, I guess your means to the end is stripping your right, the Second Amendment, your right to self-defense, your right to firearm ownership, to keep and bear arms. You're looking to strip that from those that would actually be doing good at the end of the day. Armed citizens account for a lot of lives saved. Armed citizens account for a lot of, when I say good defensive shoots. And it's just unfortunate that we're in a situation right now where it's become so divisive, you know, us versus them, that kind of thing. And I can get pretty heated about this, especially when it comes to these elected representatives, these politicians out there that are looking to strip Americans of their rights, their constitutionally protected rights, the ones that say, I don't know, shall not be infringed, and leave us defenseless to those that would actually look to carry out such atrocities, carry out such evil because of our religion, because of our politics, because of our ideas at the end of the day, our opinions. And you think that taking the guns from the law-abiding are going to somehow make the criminals not commit crime? I'm confused. It doesn't make sense, and it hasn't made sense for quite some time, which brings me to this from Representative Andrew Clyde. And you know, I'm how do I say this? Thank you, Andrew Clyde. Let me start by saying that Andrew Clyde has been the biggest, one of the biggest, if not the biggest, defenders of liberty and an advocate for restoring the Second Amendment, and has been an ally with us over at Gun Owners of America. So thank you, Representative Andrew Clyde. And then there's, 40 others that have signed their names? 40. Only about 5 senators, the rest representatives in Congress. And that's it. I'll read everybody. I'm going to read all of what's in this letter, and I'm going to read all the signatures and who signed it. But I'm really concerned that that's all we got. There's a lot more senators and members of Congress than what we have signatures here. And it's a little concerning, if you ask me. And for those of you that are asking, or that I see, it doesn't look like Rumble is working, unfortunately. I'm going to see if maybe can I make it just go live on my own here? I don't even know. Go live. Yeah, it's really not wanting to go here. So sorry guys, Rumble isn't participating tonight, but we're streaming everywhere else. I'll upload the video to Rumble just so it's there if you guys want to watch there and support a platform that actually supports freedom of speech. So before we get into the letter here, let's go ahead and see what some of the chat is saying. Very first chat of the night. Echo, hi. Good to see you. Thanks for being here. Patriot Operator, howdy. Appreciate you being here as well. Wave from Ground Fog, thank you very much. Over on Facebook, hells yeah, from Mark. Good to see you, man. Thank you. Jessica Simp. And I've gotten myself the new PS5 and transferred all my save data from my PS4, so I have the same saved loadouts and games, just like I loaded my PS5 guns. That's funny. Awesome. Tanner, good to see you, and man. Let's see, we've got Jake. What's up, everyone? Very, very good. Thank you, guys. And let's see here. We've got David Rubel. The federal government is pretty useless in general. Yeah, bro. Yeah. We out here from Crunchy Taco. Tanner again. Cheers, Clinton, too. Appreciate that. Before I start hopping into this letter that I have here, Wait, the only thing I want to see on Rumble is the bust my builds. Fair enough. Fair enough. We can do that soon. All right. Okay. Before we start reading this letter and kind of what all that means, um, eggnog. Are you guys a fan or not? Me? Eggnog's where it's at. All right. Eggnog. I'm team eggnog. All right. I'm just gonna go ahead and say that. So there we go. Ryan says, actually, get to watch a live tonight. Sweet. That's awesome, man. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And the barefooted gardener as well. Great. Okay, so Congress of the United States, Washington, D.C. Let's, guys, bear with me for the next couple of minutes as I read through this because I want to read it in its entirety and we can break down what it means. First and foremost, a big, beautiful lawsuit that Gun Owners of America has against the federal government in opposing the National Firearms Act. We are looking to dismantle the National Firearms Act. We want it to cease to exist. We don't want to forget that it ever existed because we don't want this to ever happen again. The National Firearms Act, of course, regulates silencers, short-barreled rifles, short-barreled shotguns, and any other weapons. And you, an individual, an American, should not have to ask permission, wait, or pay a tax to exercise your Second Amendment right. That's all there is to it. Come January 1st, 2026, after the passing of the big, beautiful bill, the tax essentially is going away, which means the constitutional foundation for the National Firearms Act also goes away because the National Firearms Act is a registration of a tax paid, because it is unconstitutional to have a registration of firearms in this country. And if there is no tax to be paid, then what exactly is it a registration of? Yes, the very firearms it regulates. So, the Honorable Pamela Bondi, United States Attorney General, U.S. Department of Justice, 950 Pennsylvania Avenue Northwest, room 1145, Washington, D.C. 20530. Dear Attorney General Bondi, we write to inform the Department of Justice of Congress's position and intent regarding ongoing litigation challenging the National Firearms Act, NFA, registration and transfer requirements for non-taxed NFA firearms. Following the enactment of President Trump's landmark Second Amendment victory in the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, OBBBA, the enacting this bill into law, Congress affirmed its position that the taxation and registration provisions of the National Firearms Act are inseparably linked, and it expressed its intent to repeal the NFA's registration and transfer requirements by eliminating the associated taxes on certain firearms and silencers. In light of the requirements by eliminating the associated taxes on certain firearms and silencers, in light of the Department of the recent filing opposition and this interpretation, sorry, I reread that last line there, we must express our serious concern and disappointment that the Department of Justice has chosen to advance a theory that not only conflicts with Congress's express intent, but also disregards the constitutional structure upon which the NFA has rested since 1934. Therefore, we again urge the Department of Justice to adopt and advance Congress's stated position in all litigation concerning these provisions to ensure that congressional intent is accurately represented and upheld before the courts. So I think we all got that, right? We understand the basis of what this is. As you are well aware, Congress enacted the National Firearms Act in 1934, imposing an excise tax of $200, equivalent to nearly $5,000 today, on the manufacture and transfer of certain firearms. The NFA also established burdensome registration requirements for gun owners seeking to transfer NFA-regulated firearms, including the submission to the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, ATF, of personal identifying information such as name, date of birth, demographic details, fingerprints, home address, and the physical location of the firearms. Congress enacted the NFA pursuant to its taxing power under Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution. The Supreme Court, in Sonzinski versus the United States, 1937, held that the National Firearms Act registration provisions were supportable as in aid of Congress's proper exercise of the taxing power. Furthermore, the Supreme Court in the United States v. Constantine, 1935, held that the tax that doesn't generate revenue cannot be justified as a tax. 1935. How about that? Continuing on. The registration requirements under the NFA are, in fact, inseparably linked to its taxation provisions. Registration serves as the mechanism by which the ATF accounts for the tax paid on each firearm, identified by its serial number. The tax stamp affixed by the ATF to an NFA transfer and registration application reflects both the firearm serial number and the amount of tax paid for the transfer. Moreover, the NFA's criminal provisions pertain exclusively to the failure to pay or register the payment of this tax with the ATF. Any reinterpretation of the NFA that allows registration to persist once taxation has been removed contradicts the statute's text, its structure, and Supreme Court precedent. Makes sense to me. On July 4th, 2025, President Donald J. Trump signed into law the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, which eliminated the transfer and making taxes for certain classes of firearms regulated under the National Firearms Act. Specifically, Section 70436 of the OBBBA sets the NFI excise tax at $0 for short-barreled rifles, short-barreled shotguns, firearms classified under the NFA's any other weapon category, and silencers. Legislation represents the most significant advancement for Second Amendment freedoms in many decades. Following the OBBBA's elimination of the tax on a broad class of firearms regulated under the NFA, the constitutional foundation for applying the NFA's transfer and registration requirements to those $0 tax firearms no longer exists. These requirements now operate without any corresponding exercise of Congress's taxing power, as the Supreme Court upheld the NFA's provisions only as in aid of that power. And since the relevant excise taxes have been repealed, the transfer and registration requirements should likewise be understood as repealed with respect to firearms now subject to a $0 tax. The department's recent filing disregards this reality and advances a theory that would effectively transform the NFA from a tax statute into an independent federal gun registration regime, an outcome Congress has never authorized, as repeatedly rejected and in fact expressly prohibited in the Firearms Owner Protection Act of 1986. In fact, when Congress reduced the Obamacare penalty from $0 during President Trump's first term, the Department of Justice refused to defend the underlying flawed law. The department is fully empowered to decline to defend statutory provisions that no longer rest on a valid constitutional basis. It has exercised the authority of before, and it must do so again here, this time in defense of Americans' Second Amendment rights. As members of Congress who supported the One Big Beautiful Bill Act and participated in the legislative process surrounding Section 70436 of that act, we wish to reaffirm that it was our intent in enacting Section 70436 to repeal the transfer and registration requirements under the National Firearms Act by eliminating the associated excise taxes for certain firearms. It remains our clear intent that these transfer and registration requirements shall no longer apply to firearms now subject to a $0 tax for the reasons outlined above. Accordingly, we urge the Department of Justice to adopt the position of the drafters of this provision that the transfer and registration requirements cannot stand without the corresponding excise tax. We further urge the department to reconsider its recent opposition brief and to ensure that future filings reflect Congress's clear directive regarding the NFA's taxation registration linkage. President Trump has been the most pro-Second Amendment president in our nation's history, and the Department of Justice has an opportunity to uphold his strong record of protecting gun owners from burdensome regulations. Thank you for your attention to this important matter. We look forward to working with the Department of Justice to advance additional pro-Second Amendment policies. Fair enough? Sincerely, Andrew S. Clyde, Member of Congress. Steve Daines, United States Senator. Lauren Boebert, Member of Congress. Bill Cassidy, United States Senator. Wesley P. Hunt, Member of Congress. Tim Sheehy, United States Senator. Scott Perry, Member of Congress. Michael S. Lee, United States Senator. John Rose, Member of Congress. John Cornyn, surprise, United States Senator. Barry Moore, Member of Congress. Rick Allen, Rick W. Allen, Member of Congress. Earl L. Buddy Carter, Member of Congress. Scott DeHarlaris, I messed that one up, I'm sorry, Scott, Member of Congress. Corey Mills, Member of Congress. David J. Taylor, Member of Congress. Adrian Smith, Member of Congress. Chip Roy, Member of Congress. Sherry Biggs, Member of Congress. Barry Loudermilk, Member of Congress. Mary E. Miller, Member of Congress. H. Morgan Griffith, Member of Congress. Derek Schmidt, Member of Congress. Andy Biggs, Member of Congress. Ryan Zinke, Member of Congress. Ralph Norman, Member of Congress. Richard Hudson, Member of Congress. Diana Harshbarger, Member of Congress, Michael Cloud, Member of Congress, Riley M. Moore, Member of Congress, Nicholas J. Begich III, Member of Congress, Mark Harris, Member of Congress, Tim Burchett, that's a good one too, Member of Congress, Clay Higgins, Member of Congress, Randy K. Weber, Member of Congress, Guy Reschenthaler, Member of Congress. And just a few more and we'll be done and we can start talking about this. Brian Jack, Member of Congress, Marlon Stutzman, Member of Congress, Mike Bose, Member of Congress, Eric Burleson, Member of Congress, Ben Klein, Member of Congress, Jeff Hurd, Member of Congress. And yes, CC'd on that is the acting director of the ATF, Honorable Daniel P. Driscoll. All right, now that we got through that, what do y'all think? I quite, first of all, I commend and absolutely applaud Representative Andrew Clyde for spearheading that and getting those members of Congress and senators to sign on and back that letter. And quite frankly, as I've already mentioned at the beginning of this live stream, I'm a little upset that we didn't have more signatures. Not surprised, but, you know, still a little upset. Not surprised that we didn't have any more numbers there. So JC quite says, interesting. 1986 Firearms Ownership Protection Act is a good bill that had the poison pill being the Hughes Amendment. Yes, you are absolutely right. I even talk a little bit about that in today's recording of the Second Amendment report. It'll be out on Saturday. Stroking Trump's ego definitely helps. You've noticed that helps, right? I think a lot of these guys know how to play that game as well. So yeah, and to be quite fair, President Trump has been the most pro Second Amendment president, probably within my history, within modern history of the United States, right? The bar isn't high, so it's not like that's exactly the most difficult thing to achieve. Just by rolling back the $0 or the $200 tax down to $0 on the NFA is a huge step in the right direction. Seeing this DOJ and what they're doing on the state level is actually very impressive. What they're doing in the U.S. Virgin Islands is very impressive. What they're doing everywhere else to roll back state level gun control is very impressive. The only thing that's really the elephant in the room here is the fact that they're not willing to walk back federal gun registration, federal gun control. That's the biggest issue that we have right now. If you're willing, it almost is offensive in a more of a manner because you're willing to go and attack the states, but you're not willing to check yourself. Thank you, Tanner, for the super chat. Thoughts on getting silencers before December 27th when they shut down until January 1st? If you think there will be a much longer wait buying them in 2026. I don't think there's going to be a wait in buying the silencer, but as far as actually getting your forms completed and approved, that's going to be problematic. I have a feeling that there's going to be a lot of people, myself included. I've got quite a few NFA items that I'm going to look at, taking on come January 1st. But, to each their own, go ahead and send it. But it's going to be an interesting time, to say the least, right? I don't think it's a dumb idea whatsoever. I'd say do it, especially if that can put you ahead of the line. But I actually started, form-foring quite a few of things, just eating that $200 tax and just going ahead and doing it now just to get ahead of the line because I want to make content with some stuff that's not a pistol. And so it's like, I hate paying extra taxes, but I hate paying taxes in general. You think so it is what it is. But I just look at it as an investment at the end of the day, or at least I keep trying to tell myself that. Anyway, let's see here. James, Owen, glad to see you, Clint, and the Mafia out tonight. I got IGY6 goes for all my brothers and sisters in the 2A court. Appreciate that. Thank you very much. Did anyone mention getting rid of the ATF registry? That is, yes. GOA has actually been mentioning that for quite some time now. Republicans need to get their shit together and unify our rights while we have a chance. Anything put forth without support from Congress and the House is dead on arrival. That's something that we are definitely concerned about. executive orders, things like that, rolling back, nothing that actually goes through Congress. The next administration can just wipe it out, right? So these are definitely concerning things, right? I am going to SBR every dang thing I got. Do not blame you. What are taxes? Um, taxes are a theft. That's what they are at the end of the day. So, there you go. Asking the government for permission for a constitutional right is wild. You're absolutely right. Asking the government should never be a thing. Free men don't ask, right? Isn't that the entire philosophy? But here we are living in a country that has ultimately legislated itself to where we have to ask, or else we will be imprisoned for not asking for permission. We will be fined, taxed. Yeah. So in 1934, when the National Firearms Act was enacted, that $200 tax is what I just read in that letter right there from Andrew Clyde to the DOJ, would equate to about $5,000 today. Can you imagine if you're wanting to buy let's just say $1,000 suppressor, but having to pay an additional $5,000 just to be able to lawfully own it? I think we'd be seeing a lot more oil cans on our guns. You know what I mean? What about short-barreled rifles? Same thing. You want to go build your own. Build your own for $700 with a 14.5-inch barrel, $5,000 additional just to be able to lawfully own it. This is the type of thing that's pretty messed up. Pretty messed up to say it in the most basic of terms. Morality is a thing. Morality is definitely a thing. It could be worse. I live in Chicago, Chirac veteran. It definitely could be. Say hey to my boys over at Gun Camp, by the way. They're based out of Chicago up there and doing some good work, at least trying to in Illinois. But yeah, I want to go back to what Cliff was saying though. Asking the government for permission for a constitutional right is wild. It's one of those things where how do you say it, right? Because at the end of the day, we're all adults. We're all going to make our own decisions. You're going to choose what you think is the right thing to do for you and your own at the end of it all. But to do it correctly, lawfully in this case, correctly that's that morality thing. What's correct, actually? Lawfully in this case is to, yes, Form 1, Form 4, your NFA item, and ask for permission. It's the reason why gun owners of America, it's the reason why myself, it's the reason why so many of us are vocalizing so loud that we have actually had an opportunity granted to us to actually fight for the Second Amendment. Not just defending it, but restoring it. And that's extremely important here. So for any of you that are just not doing anything about this, not contacting your representatives, not supporting GOA and other, I mean, you got to think we've had how many plaintiffs on our big, beautiful lawsuit that signed on with us, within 24 hours of the big, beautiful bill passing. We've got, 15 states on board: Silencer Co., Palmetto State Armory, Silencer Shop, so many others that I'm forgetting right off the top of my head right now, but it's extremely exciting to see so many B&T, so many people come together from the firearms industry, and even states themselves hop on this lawsuit against the federal government. Silencer Shop, like I said, their entire business model with like their entire NFA kiosks and things like that. I mean, that will hurt their business at the end of the day, but yet here they are, because it's not about making money to these companies and these different organizations that have signed on with us. It's the morality. It's the principle of the fact that we have a Second Amendment, and the Second Amendment isn't for sale. It's not up for debate. It's a God-given right protected by our Constitution, enumerated in our Constitution. And here we are fighting for it. And we have a real chance at actually doing a little bit of restoration on the Second Amendment. It's extremely exciting, if you ask me. You know, sometimes I get a little heated up, a little angry about how some things go, but at the same time, at the end of this all, I'm truly happy. I'm truly excited that we are right now living at a point in time where we could actually sue the federal government and walk back an almost 100-year-old infringement on the Second Amendment. It's it's possible. The fact that we actually eliminated the $200 tax down to zero is pretty impressive. It's a step in the right direction. It's not exactly what we wanted, thanks to that parliamentarian, that non-elected bureaucrat that walked back the dismantling of the NFA and that text in the big beautiful bill. I still ask, where was JD on that? Because he could have vetoed her opinion. But here we are. It's extremely important that we recognize that we are winning at the end of the day. It might seem like we hit a lot of road bumps and a lot of barriers and obstacles. That's because we do, but we're progressing, and that's extremely exciting. But even still, the firearms industry in a whole is hurting, and you can see that. I mean, it happened. You know, the first Trump administration, Trump slump 1.0, the entire firearm. I mean, I was at Classic Firearms working retail. I could see once COVID hit, all of a sudden sales went through the roof because everybody's worried about running out of toilet paper. Screw the toilet paper. What about a box of 9? Right now, all of a sudden, you got people breaking into your house for said toilet paper. How are you going to defend against that? Well, you know, guns. We saw, I mean, once COVID hit, the firearms industry went through the roof. And now we're at Trump slump 2.0, and the firearms industry is hurting again. Across the board. I mean, I've been talking to a lot of people about going to SHOT Show, and even me. I'm SHOT Show for this year. This year for me is I was planning on being there the entire time, and then looking at what I'm doing for my own business and everything, I'm like, it really doesn't make sense for me to go. But GOA seems to find it necessary that I go, so it's like, okay, I'm going to be there for like the busiest days, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then I'm out. You know, like. And then Okay. I don't know what just happened. I have no idea. It looked at me as if I was a guest on my own. Man, I tell y'all what. Yeah, that was really weird. It was showing that I was a guest on my own stream for some reason. Also, I'm supposed to be streaming on Instagram too. Did that work? Probably not. Let me see. But yeah, um, oh goodness, sorry about that, guys. Like I said, I don't know what's going on with StreamYard. Rumble isn't working right, and then all of a sudden I'm in here twice. Like you guys can't see the studio, obviously, but I'm like in here twice, and I don't know what's going on. But I don't know. Maybe StreamYard is. Maybe I need to find a different software to use. But it's been good, for the most time. There we go. Oh man. All right, cool. So let's get back to it here. Again, going back and talking about the letter that Representative Andrew Clyde has sent to the Department of Justice with the signatures of both senators and members of Congress. The biggest issue that we're having, obviously, is the fact that there's not more names than what's already on there. 40 names. 5 senators. The rest are all members of Congress. And, it's a little upsetting. But like I said, it's definitely a step in the right direction that we've been moving with the big, beautiful bill. With the fact that it reduced the $200 tax stamp down to $0, which would equate to about $5,000 today after it was enacted in 1934 from the National Firearms Act. If we get that registration completely dismantled, as it should be, because the only constitutional foundation for the National Firearms Act is the fact that it was a registration of a tax paid, not of an actual firearm, because that is unconstitutional in this country. And if the 1935, what was it, Constantine? United States via Constantine, 1935, held that a tax that doesn't generate revenue cannot be justified as a tax. So then, if it's not a registration of a tax paid, because there isn't a tax being paid, then what is the registration of? Our firearms, which again is unconstitutional in this country. That is why Gun Owners of America, Gun Owners Foundation, Palmetto State Armory, Silencer Shop, Silencer Co., dozens of states, 15 states, can't say dozens, but a dozen and some states have signed on as plaintiffs to our big, beautiful lawsuit suing the federal government for the unconstitutionality of the National Firearms Act. We are restoring the Second Amendment. That's what we're looking to do here. A step in restoration of the Second Amendment. No, it is not 100% shall not be infringed, unfortunately. You can't buy your RPG at Walmart yet, all right? But we're getting there. I know a lot of people will hear that and be like, "Oh my God, that's ridiculous. That's extreme. That's crazy. That's insane." And you're wrong. That's all there is to it. All right. Let's see. Justice Easy Repairs on Instagram. What's up, bro? Good to see you, man. Can you give me a small breakdown of the National Firearms Act for me? Absolutely. So, for those of you that don't know, the National Firearms Act is a registration that has been on the book since 1934. It's a registration of short-barreled rifles. It's a registration of that, right there. The silencer, the short-barreled rifle, the short-barreled shotgun, which is right there, any other weapons, and short-barreled rifle, short-barreled shotgun, any other weapons and silencers. So there you go. It is a registration of a tax paid, a $200 tax, and an approval for you to be able to own what you see behind me. I, after 14 and a half years in the Marines, after working at a local police department, and I will say that combining my law enforcement career with my military career, I have undergone more government background checks through the weapons I possess more than any of the time of my military service or anything like that. I have gone through more checks than most police officers out on the force. I guarantee it. To be able to own things that are constitutionally protected, under the Second Amendment. Insane. It's ridiculous. Oh, and never mind the taxes paid, which again, boys and girls, what are taxes? That's right. They're a theft. All right. So there you have it. Father Stephen Gadberry, good to see you joining on Instagram too. Really appreciate that. Let's see. We've got Helmart on Instagram. So my question is, in your honest opinion, would you take the Mossberg 990 Aftershock to be your truck gun over a revolver or a 1911? That's a question right there, man. Yeah, I would take a 300 Blackout SBR to be my truck gun, or my Mark 18, 5.56, 300 Blackout. You know, it depends on where you live, maybe, but a revolver, I would. I swear, dude, they mute my shit. I didn't touch anything. I didn't touch anything, and it muted. I saw it. I caught it this time. You know what I mean? So there you go. We're good. We're good. It took a second. We're back. All right. But I wouldn't take a revolver or a 1911 as a truck gun. I guess probably a shotgun in this case. A shotgun is just very versatile. But if that's what we're going for, there we go. And I guess you could say technically I worked for the police, but I was a 911 call taker and dispatcher. All right. So, hey, sister. Yeah, I should be unmuted now. All right. We should be good. So thank you. Appreciate it. Government's out to get me now. I know, man. I worked for the government for a long time, you know, so, and here they are now. No, what can I say? But yeah, again, if you guys missed the early part of this live stream, I read the entire document, the entire letter from Andrew Clyde to the Department of Justice that really does a great job breaking down what the National Firearms Act is, why it is unconstitutional to begin with, and why it's even further unconstitutional now, and why the big, beautiful bill that Donald J. Trump passed that's going into effect January 1st, 2026, that rolls back the $200 tax paid on short-barreled rifles, short-barreled shotguns, silencers, and any other weapons, which is a classification of a firearm and any other weapon. Yeah, it's unconstitutional. And the fact that the Department of Justice is doing a good job, yes, I said it, a good job at rolling back state-level gun control, but is yet defending federal-level gun control really makes you question, oh, so are the states less than? Like, I'm not out here defending California and New York and the U.S. Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico and stuff like that. Yes, U.S. regions and territories are still, if you ask me, America, all right? And yes, our constitutional rights, or at least our rights that are protected under the Constitution, should be afforded to these Americans. So it's great to see what they're doing on the territory and state level, the DOJ, but what are they doing on the federal level? You know, about said some bad words, and I got to be careful about that on YouTube and Instagram and everything, apparently. But with all that being said, I'm no fan of any type of infringement on the Second Amendment. That's it, right? And there you go. Stupid laws. I'm not afraid to go back to jail. He said that. All right. He said that. That's okay. We the people, tacticals are coming. And that's the other thing too. The NFA, fake and gay. And Instagram is live, which is great. I'm glad to see that. All right. So awesome. Glad you guys are all here. Rogue Arsenal on there. I see the American flags flying. Appreciate that. Justice, no, it was not your internet. Official Fold AR. Did someone say truck gun? Yes. The Fold AR is pretty freaking awesome. If you guys haven't seen my video covering the Fold AR, getting to that in a backpack, stuff like that, you need to check that out also. It's a pretty freaking awesome thing, right? There's my sister again. Good to see you, man. Tell my sister-in-law, tell my brother I said, hey, miss you guys. Love y'all. And really appreciate that too. Sneak was taken. Seems to me Clint's the most based gun tuber. You know, this entire idea of being based isn't really based to me. It's called being American. It's called being free. And it's called being a liberty-loving freedom-loving defender of liberty. That's it. It's nothing that has to be with based. It's just what does the Constitution say about us? It says that we have rights that are granted to us by our Creator, that are enumerated in the Constitution. They're protected by the Constitution, not granted to us in the Constitution. It is ultimately a restriction placed on government. That's it, not a restriction placed on we the people. And it's time people start waking up and realizing that these people that we elect as our representatives, as these politicians, they are in it for themselves most of the time. And if you recognize that and you keep voting for the same people, doesn't matter if they have an R, a D, or an I next to their name, you're part of the problem. And yes, I am going as far to say as well that voting still matters. I'm here to say that. It might be an illusion to most of us. It might just be all for naught. These leaders, which they are not, might be keep getting put in place by those that are part of the puppet strings, whatever, but get out there and show it anyway. Get out there and show. Look what they did in Belarus. Did you see what they did? Millions of people took to the street and had the government resign overnight. The entire government. That didn't happen years ago. That happened weeks ago. And so anybody saying that the people don't have the strength, no. What we have are bread and circuses to keep us entertained and to keep us quiet. That's it. That's the only difference. The moment that you all of a sudden get uprooted, you're uncomfortable, you start getting hit at home where it matters, now all of a sudden you're going to be willing to take to the streets. But it's going to be too late, because by the time you get to that point, you're going to be fat and happy and not willing to risk it all. Anyway. Did I get muted at any point in time? I'm surprised I didn't. But votes count when they don't cheat. You know? Anyone that says they can take away rights is 100% full of shit. They can't take them away. You allow them to strip them from you. That's it. Chug that eggnog after all that. That's the other thing, too. I need everybody to go ahead and comment right now. Are you team eggnog or not? I'm team eggnog, all right? Actually, that last sip that I did, Tanner, that actually did kill it. I don't have any more eggnog, so there you go. And you're absolutely right. They are not leaders. It is even a stretch to call them representatives most of the time. You are absolutely right. Oh, man. X marks the spot. All right, so I'm glad you asked this too, because if you guys didn't notice, another breaking news, Donald Trump has reclassified the Mary Jane, marijuana, weed, from Schedule 1 to Schedule 3. And so GOA, who, again, this is a reason why I'm so passionate about this organization of which I'm a part of, we have ultimately asked that the 4473, which again is the document, let me explain the 4473 really quick, all right? You know what, while we're on this rant, let's just talk about this. The 4473 is the piece of paper that every last one of us has to sign. Are you the actual transferee of the firearm? Yes. Are you an illegal alien? No. Have you committed a crime? No. Have you been discharged from the military other than honorable or dishonorable, whatever? No. And blah blah blah, and you keep going, and yes at the very end, and then you sign your name after you put in a bunch of personal information. The 4473 is a paper trail of every firearms purchase or transfer that you've ever made. What is the 4473? It is an unlawful registration. It is a paper trail. It is a document that ultimately says this person has this type of firearm, this type of weaponry, they got on this date, they live at this address, they purchased it on this date, here's their date of birth, here's your social security number, if you so choose to put it on there. Not once have I ever put my social on a 4473, because it's optional, by the way. So the 4473 is also an infringement, 100%. And if you disagree with me on that, you're wrong. So that I want to get out of the way. There's a section of the 4473 that says, are you an unlawful user of, do I have a 4473 here? No, I don't. It asks, are you an unlawful user of marijuana, things like that. And now that it has been classified as a Schedule 3 drug, we're demanding that that question be removed. We want the 4473 gone completely, but, you know, victory is where you can get them. It's not compromise. It's a step in the right direction to be able to get what you want at the end of the day. It's unfortunately politics is what it is. So there you have. All right. If you disagree, you're wrong. Yes, thank you. Team Chef Jean Perot on YouTube, eggnog. I'm hoping she's team eggnog. That's all there is to it. Man, that MJ plant should have been resolved a long time ago. 3-letter agency's been keeping it illegal for job security. You know, let's talk about that, because the same people that want to strip us of our Second Amendment right. Helmart says the 4473 should be treated as a grocery store receipt instead of a registration number for feds. Let the receipt be the receipt. You purchased a PSA lower for $49.99. Here's your receipt for that. Here's your product. Here's the transfer of money for said goods. Have a nice day. That's your receipt, is the little actual receipt that you get in addition to the 4473, which shouldn't exist. Which, by the way, you don't get the 4473. You can get a copy of it if you want, but that is for the actual FFL, the Federal Firearms License Dealer, to keep the gun shop. They keep it. So when they get audited by the ATF, the federal government, at some point in time, which they will get audited. I have myself been through multiple audits when I was at Classic Firearms and with my friends over at Monadnock Firearms and stuff. So they will get audited. And what does the ATF do? They go and verify all the information's right. And then under Biden, with the, what was that rule? The zero tolerance policy that they had, if you had one mistake, they could strip you of your federal firearms license right there. Your entire livelihood gone, just like that, because you had one mistake on any 4473 or any of your bound book documentation. For those of you that don't know, for a federal firearms license gun shop to stay into business, they have to maintain a bound book that shows all serialized items that come into the store and out of the store. No questions. That's it. Anything that comes into the store that the shop takes possession of, even if it's for maintenance or anything like that, there needs to be a transfer done on the books. Whenever it goes back to the individual, there needs to be another 4473 that goes. That's lawfully what's supposed to happen. Anytime there's a firearm sold, whether that be, again, anything with a serial number. That's it. That's all there is to it. Anytime it goes outside, there needs to be documentation that shows where that item is at all point at any given time. All right. So, oh, that's funny. Peter Castle on Instagram saying, I love that the Biden administration was holding people to a higher standard than they could ever achieve themselves. That's kind of funny. That is pretty funny, you know? So anyway, talking about the 4473 and all that type of fun stuff, you guys already get where I'm going with that. It is an infringement. The National Firearms Act is an infringement, and the evil that we saw take place this past weekend. Let's go ahead and let's really dive into that really quick. All right. Let's talk about what happened here in the States first, because not to sound like an asshole, that's what matters. You know, I don't like sticking my nose in other countries' politics and stuff like that, because quite frankly, they don't matter. Sorry. I'm very much so America First agenda. Yes. What does that mean? That means stop sending foreign aid to Ukraine. That means stop sending foreign aid to Israel. That means stop sending foreign aid anywhere that doesn't back the United States. When was the last time there was actually some sort of quid pro quo where the United States gave something, we actually got something back that made sense? I'll wait. Chat, where you at? Anything, anytime? Or do we just keep going further into debt and then losing lives somewhere in the world for God knows what reason? Yeah. Did I say it? Okay, we good? Am I muted yet? No. So, with all that being said, what happened at Brown University, gun-free zone, by the way, 92% of all mass killings take place in gun-free zones. Gee, I wondered why. I know a lot of the time we're preaching to the choir here, but if you're on Facebook, if you're on Instagram, if you're on something somewhere, and you might disagree with this, tell me why you think having a disarmed populace is a safer populace at the end of the day. And let's go ahead and pretend in the utopia of utopias that no matter what, let's say 100% across the board, every single person, like right now, you snap your fingers, you Thanos'd it, all right, and all guns just disappeared. What would that do? Would that actually prevent killing, murder? Would that prevent assault and robberies, armed robberies even? What's an armed robbery? Well, it could be anything with the knife. I could hold somebody up with a fucking screwdriver if I wanted to. It doesn't matter. It's the intent at the end of the day. It's not the tool that's used to carry out said will of person. It doesn't matter. The fact that there's people willing to take lives, that's the problem. Haven't we figured that out yet? 92% of all mass killings, and yes, I'm saying mass killings, because it's not always a mass shooting that takes place. You see people run over every single day. You see people stabbed, hit. Blunt objects are accountable for more death every year than firearms are, but, whatever. 92% of all mass killings take place in gun-free zones. Can I ask why? Jessica Simp on YouTube. Gun-free zones are soft targets. Gun-free zones are soft targets. It's that simple, ladies and gentlemen. It's that simple. And yes, I am for arming our students. You heard that correct. You go to a college campus, and I guarantee you those campuses that allow for lawful carry are safer than those that say no guns allowed. And quite frankly, if I was sending my kids somewhere, I'd like to send them somewhere that said, guns welcome. You heard that right too. You definitely heard that right. Because I would much rather have my kids going to a school where we know everybody's armed, everybody's keeping each other in check. Yes, an armed society is a polite society. And letting anybody knows that looks like that they would want to enact some sort of ill will, some sort of violent act on students, on kids, on teachers, on people, that they would be met with a hell of bullets before they could get a second round off. I say that because perhaps one round and then all of a sudden everybody's attention's got. Guys, I just want you all to start getting in your head that your representatives don't represent you, that evil exists, and you are your first responder. And in some cases, you might be the only responder. Look at what happened during COVID. Look at what happened during Katrina, natural disasters. Law enforcement stopped showing up. In some cases, law enforcement went door to door and actually confiscated firearms, National Guard. To prevent looting? I'm sorry, the rooftop Koreans during the LA riots found a good way to prevent looting. M1 carbines and Daewoo's on top of your business. That prevented quite a few lootings. Just throwing that out there. And probably prevented quite a few repeat offenders and criminals. Just saying. So, miss me with you're crazy to think that more guns is somehow going to equate to safety. It actually, yeah. Especially if we start holding each other accountable. I think the biggest issue that we see in this country right now isn't the fact that it's guns, knives, anything like that. Inanimate objects. They're just objects. The biggest issue is that we've lost the capacity for respect for one another. I've said this quite a few times now, more and more recently, that the biggest reason I carry a firearm isn't because I'm looking to take a life. I'm looking to save lives. The reason I carry a gun is because I have love for my life, my family, my fellow good-hearted countrymen, that if an opportunity were to present itself to where I would need to draw that said firearm and protect the life that I love, the family and friends that I love, the innocent bystander that I love as a fellow countryman, then God grant me the speed and accuracy to be able to do so efficiently. Evil exists, guys. Evil exists, and it's up to you to figure out how to counter it. Because it's not an if at this point, it's when. And it's not always with a gun. It could just be with cooler heads. You know, I've said this before too about freaking driving in the street. Nobody should be getting killed because of road rage. There's times, of course, where I can say, yep, you didn't have any other option. You were back up against a wall, somebody's ramming you off the street, doesn't, whatever, and you got to draw your gun. Yeah, I guess it happens, sure. But if somebody cuts you off in traffic, let them. Let them, dude. Like, whatever, man. Go do your thing. Go wreck, a couple miles down the road now, but leave me out of it, all right? Like, whatever. And I have actually been in one situation on Highway 49, right by UNCC in Charlotte, where this woman was riding my ass. I was in my Jeep Wrangler at that point in time, so it's not like I was going fast anyway. And she was just all over me. It was late at night. I'm not trying to go fast. I'm just trying to chill because I just want to get home without getting pulled over for obvious reasons. And so it's like, all right, that's where I want to be right now. I want to get home, okay? And she's just all over me and like flashing her lights and then revving and coming up, all because I wouldn't like move over. And I'm in the middle lane. I'm like, dude, give me a break. Sure enough, there were blue lights behind me, which were behind her. She was so focused on just screwing with me, she didn't realize a cop was pulling up behind her and got her. I was like, no way, dude. I vindicated. Happy. Just happy he was pulling her over and not me. You know what I'm saying? So self-policing ourselves is a big thing, Rooftop Koreans, very epic. Indeed. Indeed. Let's see. Going back to Instagram, taking a look at what some of you guys are saying over here. Let's see. Justice loves Glocks for some reason. Look, Glocks are Glocks are a reliable pistol, even though they bent the knee to California. But on one hand, it's like, I don't blame them. On the other hand, bitches. You know what I mean? Like, what are you gonna do? Thank you, X marks the spot, for the super chat. Greatly appreciate that, man. As you already know, that goes out, helps out the ranch up here. That helps with the Nods fund. I keep having to borrow Nods, man. But one day I'll get my own binos. But thank you, really appreciate that. And you've got a great message with your super chat too. F the NFA. You are absolutely right about that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Let's see here. Crunchy Taco, thank you again. Checks out. Father figures are needed in the homes to keep trash behavior corrected before it gets worse. And that's the other thing too, man, is like, seriously, we got to put an emphasis on family. I really think society has worked really hard for a very long time to try to convince a lot of people that having kids is a crutch. It will be a burden on your partying lifestyle, that it isn't for you, and that, you need to focus on your career and focus on what you're doing. And it's all about you, and it's very self-centered, and it's wrong. I mean, I've definitely changed since becoming a dad. I've cut people out of my life. You know, I've done a lot since becoming a dad, to protect my family, and I can tell you right now that being a dad is legitimately the greatest thing. All right, hands down, I am so blessed and fortunate to be able to work from home for an organization that's passionately fighting for our Second Amendment rights, but also do this whenever I want with you guys watching. I mean, there's a few hundred of you guys. Like, thank you. Like, that's awesome. Like, it's crazy, dude. So super blessed. Like, thank you, God. And I get to be with my kids though. Like, I remember growing up, I my childhood was, I had a good childhood, but broken home kind of thing, stuff like that. And I remember my dad, he was fun, and I remember certain times of my childhood with my dad, and he died when I was, only 24. And I remember, my mom, who's actually visiting in town right now. Um, I've got a lot of memories with both of them, but never a lot actually at home with my dad because he was always working and stuff like that. But I remember he'd come home, he might bring a toy or something like that, get really excited. And yeah, I remember being, a pain in the ass, that's for sure. High strung, high energy little boy, wanting to go play, soldier out in while we're out in the backyard or something, shooting BB guns and 22s all day. I can only imagine what my 22 budget was back then, but then I remember what the cost of 22s were. And it really just makes me beg for an ammo sponsor. All right. But no, man, I think about, becoming a dad, and one of my biggest regrets is not having kids sooner. So that way they could have met their grandpa. Like I wish I would have met my wife sooner, and that we would have had more babies sooner, and that my family would be bigger. Um, yeah, that's if I have one regret, it's not having my kids sooner. Yeah, but of course, that's always a Justice. Now, Justice on Instagram, guys, he's my nephew. Um, and yeah, we definitely shot at each other with airsoft a lot. And airsoft is a gateway drug, 110%, man. But yeah, dude, you need to come up here and visit. By the way, I've upgraded since then from airsoft guns. The Yeah, you definitely need to come visit. But let's see, truth hurts from the grandkid perspective. Yes, my papa was my role model, and I still try to make him proud. I will never stop trying to. I mean, Justice knows this too, and my sister-in-law, if she's still watching, Jennifer. Um, Man, I mean, like, uh, my dad was the life of the party. He was just everybody's dad. I mean, I had friends all throughout high school, middle school, high school, a couple years of college. I didn't really care for school, so I didn't stay in college. And quite honestly, I don't always advocate for people going to college either. I'm just gonna throw that out there. Like you do you. If you want to, go to further education stuff like that, go for it. But at the end of it all, yeah, forget that, dude. I'm not about that, man. I think we need more people actually doing trade than anything. I kind of that's one thing I wish my dad did more with me when I was growing up was doing a little bit more like hands-on stuff. Like doing stuff with cars and like I really wish I knew how to wire a house. Like if I wanted to install an outlet somewhere, but knowing me now, I'd see the sparks and get like distracted and think that's cool and then burn down my house. So, anyway, I forgot where I was going with this, but yeah. Oh, Justice saying he hates Maker's Mark because of him. Because yeah, we were, we'd get into Maker's Mark. Won't say how old we were, but yeah, and yeah, man. And Jen, good. I'm really happy that you guys are on and everything. That really excites me. I miss you guys. Tanner, thanks again for the super chat, man. Since having a kid I carry all the time or have one within arm's reach wherever I'm at, you're right about the kids changing that mindset. Hope you, Kels, and the kids have been doing well. Really appreciate that, dude. And if we make it out your way, which by the way, we'll be out in Montana at some point next year for some pretty exciting things we've got coming up. So I'll let you know. All right. But yeah, I think that was really my biggest thing is, and that's it, James, too. You can't wish to change your past. You would not be who you were and are today, yeah. And I absolutely agree. I mean, you don't know, could be better, could be worse, but I can't imagine anything different than like, like with, without my kids, without Kels, like, oh, that, if I could go back, do it again, and then there's a path laid out in front of me to either take this life or take a life in which I would have billions of dollars and everything else and none of the struggles that I'm currently faced with or anything like that, yeah, forget all that, man. If I knew I'd be missing out on my wife and kids, then it's totally not worth it, you know. I am not in focus. Thank you, camera. Hello? Maybe what is up with my stuff, dude? Like you would think. There we go. All right, now we're back. Now we're back in focus. But yeah, no, I'm definitely all about it, you know. And I thank you, Jen. I appreciate it, man. Love you, sis. Thank you. Crunchy Taco Mild Man was I'll call the guy type growing up and didn't teach me much on trades. It's pretty cool reflecting on where I am and I can say I'm the guy. That's really cool, man. It's okay. The guns were in focus. That's actually pretty funny. And thanks, James, for being a monthly member. You know, thank you, thank you, thank you. Let me see over here. No, Justice, you're good, dude. Go for it, man. You also have my phone number, so you can call me anytime. But if you got gun questions, you know, send them, dude. It's all good, dude. I look up to all of your parents, dude. Thank you, JC. That really that's awesome, man. But yeah, you know, I love being a dad. I think that's the moral of the story here. I carry a gun because I love this life. I love my family. I love my friends, and if like I said, if God can grant me the speed and accuracy to be able to do something good with it, then so be it. And you know, that's that. As long as you're not colorblind, wiring outlets are easy. That's funny. Oh, X marks the spot. Brown/MIT shooter found dead. Sewer slide. No motive known yet. So there were a couple of questions there. Was the Brown shooter? Because I know that there was a question about whether or not the MIT incident was it related or not. Yes, sir. Let's see what we got. Brown University suspects. 9 minutes ago, Brown University shooting suspect found dead, officials say. The suspect in the Brown University mass shooting was found dead tonight after taking his own life, Providence Chief of Police Oscar L. Perez said. Claudio Valente, a 48-year-old former Brown University student and Portuguese national, was found at a storage facility in Salem, New Hampshire, with a satchel, 2 firearms, and evidence matching the crime scene, officials said. Investigators don't know why the suspect targeted the university, Rhode Island Attorney General Peter Niranoa said. Interesting. Well, that ends that then, I guess. Yep. Okay. Well, rest in shit. Let's see here. It's never too late to be YouTube certified in any trade fields. That is true. We've got Pack Rat Sadik. Thank you for being a monthly member. Greatly appreciate that. Too easy, if you ask me. Yeah. It's ridiculous. Let's see here. So Justice is saying that he just bought himself a Walther PPS. All right. So you got yourself a Walther PPS. Good news, I know. That was good. Yeah, you see what I did there? I mean, you said he found him suicide or something like that, you know, or sewer slide, or sewer slides being suicide. Guys, I'm a little slow sometimes. All right. Yep. All right. I'm picking up what you're putting down now. Where was that? X marks the spot. The rest of the shit killed me. Okay. Anyway. Oh man. But Justice is saying he picked himself up a Walther PPS 9mm, Federal hollow points. Federal's good. I mean, Federal just makes good ammo, so you know, solid. It only holds 7 in the magazine, though. Get that? I get that Nog's kicking in. I think it's fine. You know, it's not. It wouldn't be like my preferred choice personally, but for the price point and everything, I mean, the Walther PPS isn't bad. You know, so it'll do its job. It'll do what you got to do. And also, you live in North Carolina, man. You you don't have a capacity limit or anything, get yourself an extendo, man. Go crazy, dude. Only hold 7, get something that holds 25. Be a man. All right, let's. Oh man. Oh, dude, I'm just messing with you, dude. I love you. Let's see here. Are you excited for the new Glock Gen 6 and the teased Gen 2 43X? I mean, I'm excited as like it's another Glock Gen. Like, yeah. Am I excited? This is my excited face. Like I'm am I eager to see it? Sure. Sure. So there you go. I'm trying to keep you monetized, mofo. Appreciate it, dude. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Oh man. But yeah, no, I think what they've got going on with the Gen 6, it looks good, but yeah, I'd like to try it. I'd like to shoot it. I mean, I'd like to shoot just about anything, at least once. But yeah, so there you go. And also, yeah, R.I.P. Greg Biffle. For those of you that don't know, racing uh, legend, if you will. Um, yeah, crashed. His airplane with his family crashed in Statesville, which wasn't far from where I grew up. So yeah, pretty sad. Yeah, a lot of. I think that's probably the biggest takeaway, guys. Is there's a lot of death, a lot of accidents, a lot of evil that exists out there. So I need to call my family more often. I saw my sister-in-law say, "Call your brother." Yeah, I should do that. Yeah, he can call me too. Just throwing that out there. Um, I'm happy to have. I got a couple of family members on here that I'm talking with. Like I said, my nephew over here, my sister-in-law over here. That's awesome, man. And it makes me super happy. And obviously, like, yeah, it's pretty obvious. I'm pretty blessed with that. So thank you guys for supporting and tuning in. But yeah, that's shit. Yeah, I saw that his plane crashed with the whole family. So sad. Prayers their way. Yeah, yeah. Hug your loved ones. I said a couple weeks ago, call your mom, right? Call your mom. If you're still in a situation where you can still talk to your mom, I can't talk to my dad, you know, unless I'm asking Jesus to pass along a message or something. Um, um, talk to him, hug him, tell him you love him, right? So, but yeah, I used to say that Clint, he can call me too. Lost my brother in 2023. Call him. Yeah, fair enough. My coworker told me about Biffle. He's also a family man. That was some tough news. Yeah, no, I get that. Sneak was taken. I can adopt you as my cousin or something? Oh man, James says I text her good morning every day. That's awesome, man. Oh, thanks, Jen. Love you. And happy to have Magdump Mafia family. Thank you, JC. That's awesome, dude. And yeah, man, all of you guys that tune into the live streams, that chat and everything, all you guys are awesome. Appreciate all you guys, all the support and everything too. And as we start to kind of wind down this live stream, I just wanted to obviously start this off with you know start this off with the letter from Andrew Clyde to the Department of Justice, which exciting times, exciting times. Getting to restore the Second Amendment a little bit over here, so that's what we're working on, guys. As I recover from my sickness and everything else, um, support gun owners of America. You I mean, and look, we're not the only ones. I'll be straight up. We've got a lot of competitors in the industry, but at the end of the day, I've said this before, we are allies in the preservation of the Second Amendment. So, support all true organizations that are actually taking the steps, filing legislation, filing lawsuits against the federal government to get back our rights. So get out there and do that. All right. And of course, GOA posted today about invalidating the marijuana part of the 4473 today, too, as a result of Trump's reclassification. You're absolutely right. So, again, there's a lot happening. All right. And yeah, also Operation Blackout 2, Silent Night. Merry Christmas, everyone. For those of you that watched Operation Blackout, that was the channel's very first short film. It is now my most viewed video. So that's exciting for me and Kels and everybody that had anything to do with Operation Blackout. I think I saw on Instagram here, Alpha Mega Customs was one of the sponsors. And as you guys know, Alpha Mega Custom holsters, they are my preferred, my go-to code mag dump. If you want to save a little bit of money and get yourself a little something for Christmas. You know what I'm saying? Same thing with EOTech code MagDump. I've got a couple of others too that you can find, in descriptions and Instagram bios and stuff like that, right? So if you're looking to, I don't know, get yourself a little Christmas present, check that out. What's cool about Alpha Mega Customs though is I was actually a fan of theirs before partnering with them. That's something I think is really cool is of, being in the firearms industry for the little bit of time that I've been in the firearms industry and then just being in a hobbyist for a long time leading up to that. I have found the brands that I really liked. And then one day I started a YouTube channel or, helped build a YouTube channel, then started my own YouTube channel. And now I get to work with these companies and organizations and manufacturers that I always liked and trusted on a professional level now. It's pretty cool, so that's awesome. But anyway, did I hear that Trump endorsed Tony Gonzalez in Texas District 23? Yes, I did. That's bullshit. Not the fact that he endorsed Gonzalez. That's true. What's BS is the fact that he endorsed Gonzalez over Brandon Herrera, which we all know Brandon Herrera is an actual conservative, an actual Second Amendment absolutist, and Tony Gonzalez is, put it this way, you might elect him to represent you, but he's the kind of guy that's going to represent himself. Get what I'm saying? As is most politicians. So let's get somebody in there that's actually not. That'd be great. So there you go. A-OK is more than A-OK. I love my rig. You see that, Eric? Alpha Mega Customs. He said happy to be working with you on Instagram. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. And yeah, no, I'm a big fan of it too. So there you go. All right, let me just. I see this comment. I question. By the way, out of the Marines now, guys. I've gotten a little bit of a trim, but I could definitely. If I just dyed my hair black, I could definitely get the, tonight will be the night. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, it's going my emo days there. I didn't really have emo days. But anyway, my sister-in-law could actually talk more about if I had emo days or not. Before I go into this next comment, I've said this so many times now. How CF. All right, so here it is. So first of all, Sneak is wanting to know how Classic Firearms is DEI. And the Cajun Cheesehead said Classic turned into a DEI and it sucks now, bro. Look, I don't think so. All right. Like I've said before, it's the evolution of the channel, right? When I started there, I didn't know if I was going to be I wasn't expecting to be in front of the camera after only being a part of Classic Firearms for a year. I came on as their warehouse manager. Couldn't even think of my own title at that point in time. And when we started migrating from commercial marketing on YouTube to content creation, I really wanted to be diverse. It was me, guys. I really wanted to get different backgrounds, different demographics involved with content creation, because how many bearded white guys are creating gun content on the internet? A lot of us. And this country is diverse, and I want to show that the Second Amendment is for all, not one demographic or another. All of our constitutionally protected rights are for Americans, and that can look very different. The Americans of Charlotte, North Carolina, like where I came from, look very different from those of New Hampshire, where I'm at now, that look different from those in Texas, to Florida, to all these different states and territories that I've mentioned before, which are all American at the end of the day. So I wanted to get all sorts of different backgrounds to talk about this stuff. But we had one thing in common. We might have disagreements everywhere else, but what do we all agree on? The fact that we all have the right to keep and bear arms, and we have the right to preserve our life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. And we can do that with a firearm if we need to. And that right there to me is a beautiful thing. You get all these different backgrounds, different experiences, everything. You bring it together. The white guy just happened to leave the show. All right. They still got Matt there. They still have Ryan behind the camera. They still got John. They still got Brandon. All right. So to call it a DEI thing, because they brought in Kaya, who's an immigrant from Turkey, you know, that, if you ask me, is actually kind of cool. You're bringing in somebody from outside of the United States that still believes we have the right to keep and bear arms. Awesome. You know, you got Jason there. Jason comes from his own background, obviously. Black guy, Jewish, obviously very different than the white Catholic, than the Turkish guy, than anything else, right? So you already had diversity at its finest level there. So there you go. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just the evolution of the channel. You know, they're going to keep bringing in different personalities. You know, they're going to keep bringing in whatever. Classic Firearms is not one person, right? It's actually an entire team that has been dedicated to bringing out way too much content. I say that from a critical standpoint because it was my dumb idea to say, let's put out content every single day, because it was during COVID and I thought it would be really cool, along with the other team. I mean, it was between myself, the marketing guy that was over there, Ryan, like, dude, let's do it, right? People are working from home. Some people have lost their jobs. Let's put out a video every single day, and let's record in Clint's garage to show that we're working from home too, because they were decreasing numbers at the warehouse. So we got permission to take guns home and film content with them. And the only time we went to the warehouse was after hours to keep the number of bodies down, so there wouldn't be a COVID outbreak. Looking back, obviously it was just a really good like me and Ryan played that well. Like, hey, let's see if we can just go home and, you know, let's just talk about guns all day and drink beers, you know, off camera. We never did that. But anyway, yeah, so, you know, I'm just saying. Hey, there he is. Look, there's Jason right there, you know? So, like, there's nothing wrong with having a diverse background talking about things that we actually agree on. And the best part is, if you guys watched any of the podcasts, you would see me and Kaya get into it. I see you guys making jokes all the time about whether or not you should rock a sling for a home defense setup or not. You shouldn't, but, you know, to each their own. Everybody's going to be different, all right? And it's not to say that you shouldn't. It's just that I would prefer a weapon-mounted light over a sling if you had to choose between the two. You know what I'm saying? That's all there's to it, okay? All right? Kaya's wrong. But anyway, Jason, it's good to see you, brother, man. I hope you're well, dude. So, you know, there you go. Jason is a funny guy on camera. I definitely would hang out and have a range day with him. So there you go, right? So who was it that was saying that classic is DEI? There's Jason, you know, like, you know, there you go, you know? So, hey, here we are. We're all homies at the end of the day, guys. And that was my biggest thing with Classic and bringing this YouTube channel together, was the idea of bringing all sorts of different backgrounds that agreed that we have the right to preserve our life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness with guns, all right? With guns if we need to. And no restriction. I'm not going to let government tell me what guns I need to defend myself. And I think we all agree with that. I think everybody there at Classic agreed with that. So there you go. All right. Appreciate all you guys. Justice over on Instagram and everything, man. Thank you guys for being here. That's funny. But yeah, man. So, dude, you just opened up a whole can of worms. This is hilarious. It was Cajun who said it. It was yeah, man, Sneaks over here throwing Cajun under the bus. Oh gosh, that's actually funny, man. Narinko says you need to get the intro of classic of Kaya playing the Star Spangled Banner on his guitar. There you go, man. See, fun stuff like that. Does Kaya, y'all killing me now. Does Kaya even leg day, bro? Jason, look, I was trying to end the stream a little bit ago, but now this is happening. I feel like Kaya's got to hop in here to defend himself. All right. Man, y'all cracking me up over here. Oh God. All right. Oh my goodness. He lifts his legs with his arms. I'm out. I'm done. I can't with y'all. Man, I got family on here and everything, and y'all saying shit like that. That's hilarious. Oh man. Sights over slings. Just because you can carry the tool better won't make you more proficient with it. Hey, I don't disagree with that. But my entire point is that it's just y'all ripping on the man. He can't even defend himself. He over here, where was it? You said bird legs. Jason, tell them that I'm still recovering from having the flu and shit, man. And y'all over here like got me like, oh, I gotta take a sip of water now. Oh my God, y'all killing me, dude. Oh, I like Kaya, no homo, but I have to meme when possible. Man, y'all killing me, dude. Okay. Jason, tell Kaya, I'll let you guys know when the next live stream is. Y'all got to come in here and defend. Kaya's got to defend himself, man. This just ain't fair, man. Just catching strays left and right. Okay. All right. I'm done. Man, y'all cracked me up tonight. This is supposed to be like a news report, you know. His shirt gets any smaller, bro is going to die. All I know is light before sling, and I'll die on that hill. Thank you, Jason. Thank you. All right. Maybe I'll throw up a poll or something like that, but I feel like my audience will agree with me that for sure Tanner, I'm trying to be like semi-serious over here, and you're saying no gun, just sling. You're just gonna whip them to death, and I feel like that's another level of, like, I feel like there's a bad joke there too. So we gotta end it, dude. We gotta end it, man. Let's do it, bro. Bro, I'm game. Jason, hell yeah, dude. Love you, man. Tell everybody I said hey over there, and let's call it a night. Over on Instagram, Raider214, LOL, poor Kaya. But until he comes to a Kalash Bash like you did, I gotta side fight with you. Appreciate that, man. And let's see here. We got who said that? Wait, I'm missing it in the Alex Return. Gonna be a short film, right? I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. Yeah, I know what you meant. No gun, just sling. $100 if you shave your head right now. I have waited almost 15 years to grow this hair out. I'm not shaving it for $100. You add another zero to that, I'm not going to say what I'd do for $1,000, but $1,000 is $1,000. I'm just all right. I'm just kidding. All right, I'm done, man. Of course, bro. All I know is Operation Blackout Part 2. I better be in it. It was a good time, man. It was definitely a good time, bro. Justice said, well, Alpha Mega Customs on Instagram said, Critterman is crazy. Great customer, but crazy. LOL. That's funny. And then Justice is saying, you're sprouting more gray hairs just reading these comments. Oh, man. You guys, what do y'all think this is, man? $200 to shave the mustache and leave the rest. That's the hardest thing to grow for me, man. Oh, man. $1,000 to shave your beard. That I'll do in a heartbeat because that'll grow back quick, So that's all right. Look, I'm not going to grab my razor right now. It's way too late. I need to go to bed. I got work in the morning. GOA stuff is going crazy, so I need to go do that. But I got a smooth 50 on it. Abe Lincoln drip, Clint, y'all. I gotta get out of here. Y'all are nuts. Alpha Mega says $1,000 is not enough. Have a good night, y'all. It's time to call it quits from the Monadnock Judas. Look, I've got me a little electric razor, little Philips Norelco. All right, y'all keep playing these games. I'll do this shit live. All right. What did I just agree to? And this is live. There's no taking that one back. All right, I'm out. Y'all have a good night. Cheers to all of you guys. I know you can't cheers with water, or so they say, but I'm not really superstitious like that, so, screw it. Appreciate all you guys that support the channel via super chat, like, commenting, sharing, subscribing, all that type of fun stuff, because, well, it helps, if you're doing it on YouTube especially, it helps to show YouTube that, you know what, we actually want firearms content on your platform. Stop making it so difficult for gun content creators. All right. Alpha Mega Custom says, find a charity, Clint. I'll stake the beard. Man, y'all are killing me. All right. So cool. Appreciate you guys. Yeah, all you guys are, I swear. Oh, he got the Norelco, but not a lawnmower 4.0. All right, I'm out. Y'all have a good night. Thank you again for tuning in. I appreciate every last one of you. Don't forget to support organizations that are actually fighting to defend and restore our Second Amendment. And yes, that means by dismantling the National Firearms Act with our current lawsuit against the federal government and our big, beautiful lawsuit. We're getting the Second Amendment back, boys and girls, and that's all there is to it. All right, God bless you guys. We'll see you next time. Have a good one.